Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankara Sharyamajamam Asmadasharya Parintam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishwaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshnamurtaye Namaha Sabhavedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. We have seen the third verse on page 1625, on which Arjuna, Krishna said, "Oh Arjuna, those people who have no faith, Shraddha, in the teachings, will continue caught up or hooked in the samsara, suffering grand fear. No? And the mother of all fears, as I used to say, is the fear of non-existence. So the jiva, atma, human jiva, associates the existence with the body. This instrument of experience must exist so that I experience my life, my existence. So not having submit to this complete body of knowledge, revealed knowledge, they don't understand that their existence is beginningless and endless. It's beyond eternal principle, the only reality. But people who do not begin by developing trust in this guru scripture sampradaya, it's going to be caught up in samsara. And the fear of death will be accompanying them, and they will never attain moksha. That's what it means. Therefore, they will miss me. They will miss the only source of security and peace and limitlessness, will miss their very nature as infinite Ananda. Because I am infinite Ananda, this Krishna speaking as Nirguna Atma. I am the infinite, limitless security. I am the infinite itself. So my jivas, human jivas, they end up missing this opportunity to attain their true nature and enjoy this sense of limitlessness and infinitude and security, adequacy. There are several aspects that are inherent to the human experience that comes to the surface as one recognizes one's true intrinsic nature. And that's called moksha. People are going to miss it. It's very common, people to miss it. What to do? If the loss of the infinite is infinite loss. Okay, let me just remember to block my internet here. The loss of infinite is infinite loss, and then suppose you say, no, I'm okay. I mean, I'm doing my work here, my spiritual work, maybe next life. So there are a lot of people that are experts in postponing, and in the Hindu culture, this was much criticized by Swami Shimaya. They're saying that people have become lazy. They are so into spirituality and acceptance of karma, parabada, that they say, no, it's all God. I'm suffering, and then the suffering itself is going to purify so that I'm going to become an enjoyer in the next life, and things like that. And And he says, here in India, we are experts in postponing, or maybe he said generally, with all human experience. How do you know that your next life is going to be present itself with such a great opportunity? Therefore, we are missing a rare opportunity that we cannot really be sure it's going to appear again. Then what is going to be the lot? Nirvartant means they will definitely continue in the cycle of samsara. More births going through all the opposite pairs. Now let me change this one here, just a moment. Speaker, Silvia prefers that I do speaker mode. Uh, sorry. So what happens? They are caught up in the samsara chakra. They will get a return here. They will have a continuous, it's a process of rebirth after rebirth after rebirth. They are never free from the samsara chakra. Yeah? They are held in samsara, which is nothing but punarapi janamam, punarapi maranam. It's just running to acquire, to keep, and to avoid. Everything that is acquired is going to be lost, including our physical body. This is the life that it becomes a hard, heavy load or struggle, and therefore people continue their way. So this samsara has many problems, as we know. So time is the biggest problem. Mortality, which is a byproduct of time. We have seen that everything that is created, it's bound to disappear, because the very cycle of the entire manifestation of the cosmos is appearance and disappearance. In pranaya, everything disappears altogether. During the Srishti, the manifestations, things are there, but their configurations, they are appearing, disappearing. Everything is going to be destroyed by Shiva, Lord Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the three entities working to keep this opportunity for all of us. So that is the most relevant problem for all human jivas, the sense of time limitation. Mortality is the greatest source of fear, the mother of all fears. Whenever we want to talk about fear, we say, he is mortality afraid, but the person is afraid of death. And so, which is a permanent sense of, let's say, disturbance through the entire life. The fear of mortality, the fear of death, the fear of losing your physical body, under the impression that if I lose my physical body, I lose my existence. It becomes a chronic, stressing element, stressor, that is always there, this fear of growing old, sick, and moving closer and closer to departure or losing this instrument called the physical body. So now we can understand that gives us a good insight on why all jivas feel so insecure, because the body is so fragile. Anything can happen anytime. We either lose our mental, mental and intellectual faculty, and then we are as good as a vegetable, or we lose the physical body altogether. You understand? So that insecurity is there because by observation, we see that life is very fragile. Manifest life is organisms, no? Biological organisms, they can be destroyed so easily. So therefore, the person lives a very insecure life, no? From birth to death. It's not a good way to live and die, as we know. That takes us to the number 4 verse. All this universe is pervaded by me. All form is unmanifest. All beings are in me, still I'm not in them. So this, we enter in a very subtle teaching, which appears to be contradictory here and there, and very subject to discussions, or because it says all beings are in me, still I'm not in them, and then it's okay. And then Shwara Brahman is like a space. The space, all objects, the entire universe is in Shwara, but Shwara is not in all objects. But Shwara somehow, as space, is pervading everything. And then, no, Shwara is in my stomach, Shwara is here, Shwara is there. So even from that angle, this controversy appears, because in which way Ishvara is not in any one of us. But the first statement here is that the universe, which includes everything in it, is pervaded by me. I am the unmanifest principle, and therefore all beings are in me. Still, I'm not in them. Who would like to explain this contradiction or this strange statement?
I think it might be pointing out the mithya quality of them. In other words, they're not real, so how could they enclose the all-pervading? They're just apparently real.
Yeah. Anything else from anybody else?
No, I was about to say the same, Lynn. The consciousness is all pervasive, and everything is an appearance within consciousness, and so consciousness is the only reality. And so consciousness is all pervasive, and everything else is just a projection within that consciousness, and so doesn't actually contain consciousness.
So it said that all beings, and I'm not in them. So very often we say that being all pervasive, Brahman or consciousness is available in Nitya as the adhisthana or the substratum or the base, So why is it really available in Nitya, this consciousness, So all beings are in me, but I'm not in them, okay? And then there is already room for discussing. So, but if it is all pervasive, such as in the example of space, it should be integral part of Nitya, as space is integral part of all other all configurations of the gunas. No? So it's going to become more interesting when in the next verse, Krishna Ji further contradict himself, with a more radical statement says, in truth, I'm not in any one of them. And in truth, none of this is in me.
Yeah, this is a thing that, especially in the Christian tradition, everybody thinks the soul is embodied. They think that God is in me. It's a big thing in Christianity.
Yeah, well put. Yeah, especially there. And also in a lot of modern spiritual New Age circles, people also think that God is within us and I have my own God. It's almost as if each one of us have a different God, and I'm a co-creator because I create together with the God within. There are a lot of room for misunderstandings and concepts which are not really to the point. Let's
Have you heard,
huh?
have you heard that saying, God is my co-pilot?
Yeah.
It's
No.
a great one.
No, this is too much for me. I hear that I am God's co-pilot, but God is my co-pilot. That's big. This is the extreme, radical. Mm. So now we enter in the final topic here. In the previous introduction, Krishna was presenting the subject matter, which is the nature of God. Ishwara Tattvam or Ishwara Yana. We have seen the descriptions about the glory of this Lord, this Saguna Lord. And we also talked about the most important qualification, which was trust, Shraddha, and a mind which is not critical, looking for find mistakes and errors. So, okay. And Krishna said, Arjuna, you have these qualifications. You have Shraddha and Anusuya. So why? Just a moment. Why? Why Atri has got Anusuya? Atri means Vidyayat Hita, the one who has transcended the three bodies. So this is interesting. He says Atri. Atri is another term or title or given to those who have transcended the identification with the three bodies. So the three bodies and the dense physical, the subtle, and the causal body, which is another way to say one who has transcended the illusion of the Namarupas made up by the gunas of Maya. Which gunas? Sattva, Raja, and Guna and Tama. One who has transcended, he will never have the problem of lack of trust and excess of criticism and judgment. Whoever has transcended these three identifications, the three bodies, whoever is an Atri, his wife will have this qualification. Okay, I don't know why he say his wife. That must be symbolic, huh? Yeah, that is the symbolic significance, Atri and Anasuya. So if you have transcended three bodies, the byproduct, which in symbolism may be suggesting, such as a wife, will have also this incredible trust in the scripture. Anyway, that is incidental. Having introduced the subject matter, Krishna enters the subject matter, the main subject matter from now on, which is the central and most important theme of the 9th chapter, which begins with the 4th verse and goes on until the 10th. And then Swami says something very important here. He says, in fact, of the important portions of this entire Bhagavad Gita, which contains the sense of the Upanishads, he says that this central part of the chapter 9, contains the essence of all Upanishads. So Krishna wants to talk about the nature of God, Guna God, of course, especially the higher nature of God. So the first definition of the higher nature of God is Paraprakriti, as presented in the 7th chapter, which is Avyakta Murti. God in his higher nature is formless and attributeless, as we know, formless and attributeless. God is no longer one single form defined by a name and certain attributes. God is no longer totality of all names, colors, and forms. God is now free from names, colors, and forms. We call it Brahman because if you just say, because you don't find in the dictionary, and then that is end up going to be included in the dictionary as another name of Brahman. The word Vyaktam means Indriya Gocharam. Is that which is not accessible or perceivable, perceptible by the sense organs. Okay. This is the Lord in its higher nature. If you remember Kathopanishad, and then Swami gives us some I'll say, forgot his name. When you take small pieces and present like that, is some
an excerpt.
Yeah. Can you?
I have that verse if you want to hear it.
No?
I have the verse if you want to hear it.
Please, 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 please.
It says, having realized Atman, which is soundless, intangible, formless, undecaying, and likewise tasteless, eternal and odorless, having realized that which is without beginning and end, beyond the great and unchanging one, is freed from the jaws of death.
Very beautiful. That's the name of the game when we come to Vedanta. It's to recognize the true nature of reality, which is the true nature of God, Jiva, and Jagata. Is going to make people free from this traumatizing fear of death. But one needs to analyze one's human experience, which is totally based on the mistaken identity with the three bodies or the 5 cultures and so on. You have to break those mistaken identifications with, different levels of our experience until we can get to the understanding of this true nature of God, which is absolutely free from color, form, but we call it Brahman. And then he says here that Rama, Murti, etc., all this means that there is a form. So when we have this embodied nature, lower natures of Brahman, as Krishna, Rama, etc., Krishna Murti, a form which is dark. So Krishna Murti, they made a variation of Krishna with a darker skin, So if there is a darker skin, if there is a skin, it means that has a rupa. And if you say it's dark, it means that it has a color as well, So here and there, they present it not only as nama rupa, but name, color, and form. So anything which has some of these attributes which are born out of the 5 channels of experience, to capture the colors, to capture the forms, to capture the sound coming from it, to capture many things. They are all perception, and you're never going to reach the true nature of reality, true nature of God, relying on your perception. Kena Upanishad, it was said, if you have experienced God as an object, make sure know that it's only a lower apparent form of God. It's settling God, and that is good. That's great, it says. That bhakta needs to get some credit, merits, needs to be congratulated. But if the Bhakta is coming close to be qualified for Vedanta, he must be instructed, that from the Vedantic angle, that is just an intermediary stage in the process of spiritual growth and evolution. In Canon Upanishad, it said, then how do you experience the higher nature of God? So you will never going to experience the higher nature. In another terms, you can say, if you like the word of experience, you just say is an experience of identity. Okay, how so? No, somehow, I have contemplated in the light of these teachings of the Upanishad, and then I understood that my true identity is identical to my true nature, which is simply attributeless, nameless, timeless, and formless. What is that? It's consciousness. Consciousness, existence, the only reality. So, we cannot experience God objectively through the five senses and the inferential mechanisms of the intellect. We can only experience God as our very own intrinsic nature, which happens to be, my true sense of identity. My sense of identity has shifted, was transferred from the body-mind sense complex, and somehow in an empirical way was transferred to Aham, Brahma's me. So once that happens, we can say, now I have a sense of identification that changed, shifted, okay? So if you like the term experience, you say, now I have a new experience in terms of identity. Experience the shift of identity gives me great peace and security and satisfaction, because I know that being the one without a second principle, nothing can harm me. Yeah. Okay, what is the first feature of Brahman? Akyata Rupa. Oh, I already forgot. Akyata, I have inferred a moment ago.
Avyakta is unmanifest form.
Okay. Okay, it's unmanifest as a rupa, as a form. Once you understand that the Lord is formless, where will he be located? There's nothing to define it. Anything that can be defined, by its unique characteristics must exist within space and time, because it is in space and time that the gunas, they just develop the subtle elements, and the subtle elements develop the other physical chemical elements to bring about the universe, the physical material universe. Even the subtle as well is also mithya. So if it is like that, we say, no, you're not going to find these formulas free of attributes, Brahman, in the physical world, but you find it in the subtle celestial locus. So the Upanishads are going to say, forget it. The subtle universe is as mithya as the physical material universe, okay? It's just a byproduct of the interaction between Jiva Atma and Vyavaharika, which is the physical material universe before us as our environment. So therefore, this Brahman is not located in Vyavaharika, it's not located in any of the subtle realms, dimensions, which are subtle and invisible. They are mental, emotional, and so where is it, this Lord? It's in nowhere. If we would say, no, you find God in the subtle realms, the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, you find God. Or even if you go to the last higher nature, the celestial, how you say, locker, there you find God. And then Vedanta will say, yes, you're going to find God, but that's not the real God. Yeah. So you can never find God in that way. Otherwise, I was, it is in a higher locker. And then, like Papaji used to say, he does a lot of tapas and pujas to invite this God, which is represent for one of the variations of Krishna, to manifest so that he could enjoy the company of Krishna on this Vyavaharika. So I don't know, it's somewhere there it comes down, somewhere there comes down, and then Ramana turns to Babaji and says, so are you satisfied with a God that appears and disappears? So what is the advantage of having something that is but is not in the next moment? You find it to be real, and so on. And then he helped Papaji to realize that the reality was just its true fundamental nature, the nature of the intellect doing all those pujas to experience Krishna physically. But that means that this God is within time and space. All of that is great, it's possible regarding to Saguna God. It's totally okay. You must stay with that until you are done with that, until you are frustrated with that, until you understand that you are just getting more and more of finite results. Now you're going to produce punya, it's okay, but punya leaves always a bitter taste in the mouth because when it goes, especially the more sweet, the more wonderful is the flavor of the punya, the more sad we become when we lose it. So that may not be the ultimate goal, the ultimate discovery of the Lord. Cannot be something that come and go. There is no question of losing God when you come to Vedanta. So Brahman will never leave you like your experience with the Ishwara or the representatives of Ishwara within time and space, which are superimpositions of depending on the gunas of Maya. No? So if I find God and this God gives me a sense of security, but he disappears again and again, and then I have to do a lot of sadhanas, a lot of tapas, a lot of pujas so that it appears again. So I'm not going to resolve the problem of security. In order to feel a little bit of security, I need to invoke Krishna. So a Krishna that visits me and leaves me, it's it does not represent reality, and it's not an example of the true higher nature of the God, and so on. So therefore, Krishna presents a higher nature of this God, which is beyond the attributes such as supreme intelligence and everything, compassion, love, and empathy. And so the next feature of God is the most important. We see the language of Mithya for those devotees in transit between the lower stage of sadhanas into the higher, which is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Yeah? So, and then Krishna Ji presents the nature as all pervading, all pervading. The first feature is Nirguna, the second feature is Sarvadyantam. Nirguna is here called Avyantam, and Sarva is refers to that. It's all pervasive. So he's presenting the two other aspects, features of the two God, which is all pervasiveness and also free of any and all qualities or attributes. There is something very interesting, very subtle and philosophical about the first element developed by Ishvara, which is space. It serves as one of the best symbol of the true nature of God, because it pervades the entire cosmos. We need space to accommodate this superimposition somehow, because it's a 3D superimposition that grossifies to appear to us and a lot of other jivas in the animal realm appears in the physical material universe. And this space, it seems to be all pervasive. And then it's close to be seen as real, the ultimate reality. So we say it's all pervasive and it's free of attributes. So the space is all pervasive, but only, so as a matter of speak, below the line of Nitya or Maya. Maya produces Sattvaguna. This dominance of Sattvaguna brings about the Lord, the supreme intelligence, and the supreme intelligence brings about the most subtle element of the creation, which is embedded with a lot of Sattvaguna. It brings the space. And then once the space is there, we say, oh, it's all pervasive. But it's all pervasive only within Mitya. I mean, it's the, recipient, the container of Mitya. But then when we look into the nature of space, we cannot say that space is attributeless. It has some attributes such as sound, such as accommodation, and so on. So we use these features or examples, symbols of Brahman. But we need to understand the limitation of anything that appears within time and space. Even space itself that accommodates all other configurations within time and space, the space itself is defined by certain attributes and qualities. So to pervade from that only Santati word has come, which is flowing, paramparam, to pervade or flow. This is the second feature. So I did not understood here. So maybe some of you read the text before. What is the relation, the connection between paramparam and the pervasiveness of flow?
I don't know really, but doesn't parampara refer to the flow of teachers? We say the Vedanta parampara.
Yeah, disciple, student, in the room. Flow, right? There is a flow, but what is this thing here, this flow? Yes, Mark?
I don't know. I was thinking the same. Where's the relationship between flow and all pervasiveness? I don't know. If it's all pervasive, it can't flow at all. It doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Because flow naturally insinuates space as well. If it's flowing within space. And time, because
Very good.
time also.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure what
Yeah.
the relationship is.
We are not going to write a letter to Swamiji to ask such a question because it's not really relevant. And let's see if he touches the subject again, but I doubt. So we move into the next file, which goes from the verse 4 to 8, and then he does his recap as always. So he says that in the first 6 chapters, Krishna was focused on the nature of Jiva, and from the 7th to the 12th, which is the central part of the Gita, it's focused on the nature of Ishvara. Well, this it's good for us to understand the structure of the Gita. You know? And in the last section of the Gita, if I remember well, it's mostly focused on the nature of self-knowledge or Atmayana. So while talking about the nature of Ishvara, Krishna wants to deal with the higher nature of the Lord, which was called Paraprakriti, which is not subject to time, space, It is therefore Advaita, visionless, changeless, timeless, spaceless, absolute form of God, Paraprakriti. And by the lower nature is Aparaprakriti. The lower nature, the Paraprakriti, as was presented, the lower nature of God is also called Maya. So Maheshwara. So here we get both the topic of Brahman, the nature of Brahman, the Saguna, Nirguna nature of Brahman. The higher nature was termed Vijnana recently, and the knowledge of the lower nature is called Jnana. You remember, we've seen it in the previous verse, Jnana and Vijnana. Now, Krishna is saying, I will deal with Jnana and Vijnana in regards to the higher nature of Brahman. Jnana, lower nature, and Vijnana, the entire nature of Brahman is the main topic of the central part of the Gita, which is, it concludes itself in the chapter, no, we are just entering the other group is that we are concluding the central part in Portuguese language. But I get confused sometimes. Having introduced both, Krishna is initially dealing with the higher nature, which is called Paraprakriti. This verse from the 4th to the 10th verse, we get a description of the nature of Brahma. Brahma, which Brahma is this one? Brahman or Brahma, Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahman. Let me see. In the 7th chapter, and which is called Brahman in the Upanishads, and Nirguna Brahman. And therefore, this verse here, we get a description of Brahma Svarupa, which should be Saguna Brahma. Therefore, this is the sense of all the Upanishad. Therefore, Krishna condensed all these verses, and in the 4th verse, which is we completed in the last class, Krishna said the higher nature of God is formless, colorless, timeless, and so on. Not available with the 5 senses and the intellect. It's not revealed by the sense organs and the mind. It's not experienced by the sense organs and the mind. It's not known by the sense organs and the mind. It's known directly to the degree that we remove the Saguna notions of Brahman as its true nature, its true thing. We have to cancel the idea that Brahman, God in its true nature, is a deity. If the property of sound is there, it's not going to be the true Brahmaji. So anything, any of those features or aspects of the objects deriving from the five senses is going at most allow us to contact different aspects of Saguna Brahma, Saguna Ishvara. The second feature is the higher nature of Brahman, Sarvagatam, means all pervasive, and as we have seen, and attributeless. So all pervasive means it's not, it does not have any special spatial limitation, which is a natural consequence of vyaktam. Avyaktam, again, means free of attributes, huh?
Yeah.
Formlessness.
Yeah.
Forms.
Formlessness, I think.
Yeah, formless. Yeah. So it's without any form and color as well. So if there is form and color, it is within this mithya or the reality, you know? And then it's gonna have a spatial limitation, because in the previous description, the higher nature does not have form, and since Swamiji mentioned the dark color of Krishnamurti, so the higher nature does not have color as well. It's free from name, color, and form. Have a form is to have a boundary. So this is very important to understand. If we identify with our physical body, we have a boundary. We know where our body ends and space begins, or where our body ends and another body appears, you know. So if I have a form, there will be a boundary between my body and the space or other things and other people around me. So it's a huge limitation. Not to talk about the time limitation, we are talking about this spatial limitation. The spatial limitation often we present like, oh, it's so bad because I would like to be here, and then next moment to transfer this body to Brazil to do certain things there. Man, this is a huge limitation, but the most profound sense of limitation is my body, the boundaries of my body holds my existence, you know? So beyond the boundaries of my physical body, I do not exist. This is very profound sense of limitation, spatial limitation. You know? So when we say that the true nature of God is formless, it means Ishvara Brahman, or Nirguna Ishvara, or Nirguna Brahman is boundless, is boundaryless. Boundless is different word from boundaryless, huh? Different. So Bhagwan is boundaryless would be more precise in this context here. Of course, it's not bound by anything, but it's not limited by anything because it does not have any rupa. And that's possible only if we understand God as all-pervading. Therefore, if someone asks you, is Lord here in this local, in that local, well, where I find the greatest Brahmaji, in what loka, now, what we would say? We say that the God is in, the highest God is in Brahmaloka. But if you just say that without further explanation, you will be presenting a limited statement. Because if you say that's in Brahmaloka, and then you cannot say that it's also in Vaikuntha Loka or any other Loka. No? So, and then God is limited by lokas, space. You have to go to a certain loka to find the ultimate Shwara. So, which loka is this God? Lord, the best way to say Lord is everywhere. That's a Guna Lord, and therefore Lord is here now, and you need not to travel to reach this Lord. And then you just boom, you just go from Saguna God to Nirguna God. When you say God is everywhere, in all lokas, all subtle lokas, and in all material, physical cosmos, God is there as the intelligent cause and material cause. So, and you don't need to go anywhere to reach God. You need to understand God in its Saguna nature so that you can easily capture his Nirguna nature. And then once you understood Nirguna, Saguna nature of God as the total manifestation of the cosmos, Vishvarupa, Ishwara, and then I say, okay, I don't need to go anywhere because everywhere I turn, I'm encountering God. That's a good stage. But yet, there is a distance between God. You are seeing God as the physical material universe. And then you transfer that to see God as intelligence holding this material physical universe. There is a distance between you and this conceptual God, which is pure Sutattvaguna, the supreme Lord, the supreme intelligence, supreme knowledge. So you still see God objectively as something other than yourself. And then you come to the highest possible approach into the nature of God, which is Nirguna Atma, which is a God that is never away from anything, therefore never away from me. It's all pervasive. And it's all pervasive because it's free of attributes. If it would have one single attribute, it would not be all pervasive. So in Vedanta, merger is not attained by traveling in space and time. Emergent means an intellectual understanding that shifts your search for reality as something other than your intrinsic nature to a search into the nature, the all-pervasive nature of Brahman as your inherent nature, dropping the notion of Dvaita, of division between you and reality, you and God, is the trip you have to travel in Vedanta. Now, so there is an expression that I heard from Ramji that somewhere in the past, one of Mahatmas in our tradition called Vedanta, the yoga of no contact, the yoga of no union, the yoga of not traveling to accomplish, or doing things, the yoga of no contact, the yoga of no union, because you felt I need to unify with God, I need to merge with God. So our yoga is a yoga of no contact, of no union. And it's a very strange path which does not involve traveling. So the third feature that Krishna says here, the whole world is resting in me because I'm all pervasive. All the things and beings, they are resting in me. And that's why in one of these verses itself, you can see Krishna ji saying something that's present in Sanskrit here. And then Swami goes into some other passage, some other expressions, Puranic expressions here that I'm totally unfamiliar with, presenting Bayananda saying, the first spring caught in the world, coiled sepet, is spring caught. So you have located the Lord in a serpent, a particular place. And that Bhujaga is called milk ocean. So all these symbolism, they okay at the beginning for certain people with certain minds that cannot understand God unless you present God in the Puranic kind of manner, But for the highly advanced students, Swami say LKG students. What is this LKG? For the advanced student, the second line gives a description of the true God. You see the reverse. Previously, we said snake is the location for the Lord, the lock of the Lord. Lord is lying on the snake. We see the snake. Snake is the support for the Lord. So is the additional of the Lord is the same. In the second line it says Vishwadharam. Snake does not support the Lord. The Lord is not support the snake alone, but the snake is not supporting or sustaining the Lord. The truth is that the Lord is supporting. The Lord alone is support the snake. The Lord is support the whole creation. So yeah, there is a transcription there, most probably, unless you guys, I did not understand correctly. If you understood it differently, please help. Therefore, what is the Lord? He must be all-pervading. That is beautifully presented here when he says, I am the additional, the ground, the support, the substratum of the entire universe. At the same time, na kaham, I am not supported by anything. I am the only support that does not require any support. So as we know, so if we have some very heavy object and we don't want to put on the floor, we need a strong table, and then the table is going to support this object. But the table must be supported by the floor of one's house or apartment. And the floor must be sustained, supported by the foundation of the house or the apartment, which must be supported by the earth, a good kind of earth. So everything requires a support. But Brahman does not require any support. I'm ever the only supporter. I never require support. The entire universe is sustained, supported by me. Therefore, the third feature here of the higher nature of God is Jagata Adhisthanam. I am the support of the entire cosmos. What are the previous two things? The Lord is formless and colorless. And the first one is I am all-pervading. And the third one present in this verse is the only support of the universe. Very beautiful. And we're going to begin our class tomorrow from here, Ishwara allowing. We begin from the 5th verse. Anything else, you guys?
I love the 9th chapter already.
Huh?
I said, I love the 9th chapter already.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste.
Thank you, Orlando.
We meet tomorrow again. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you, Arlinda. Goodbye now.
Thank you.